the voice in your ears and face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purvis, and this is Pro Football. Welcome to season two, Talk Football in Sweden. Feel free to comment and send messages and tell us how we're doing. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Jalo Juice.
What is up, baby?
Nothing much, man. Let's get into it today. Again, we're still looking for sponsors, donations, and staff to help keep the podcast going throughout the season. Got a couple weeks left. If you have any inquiries, just send us an email at profootballsweden@gmail.com or hit the DMs on Instagram. The PFS podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcast, and you can see us visually here on YouTube. Wherever you listen or watch, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Now, let's get into this football, man. All right, first quarter energy, positives and negatives from the weekend. Juice. Let's start off with negatives, man, so we can end on a high note. What negatives do you have from this week?
I just thought Stockholm would have a little bit more in them. That's the negative I have, to be honest. It's the only one I really have is that Stockholm just didn't have it, but Karlstad did put Karlstad. They are. I don't want to say they are them, but they special though, for real.
Well, I don't know if we can call Carlstad them after Orebro beat them down. Like
Yeah, no,
they
no,
put belts.
no.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's not I can't call them, but they have signs of them.
that's what's very difficult about the way that they schedule this season, like in Sweden, and the way that like you got teams playing each other 2 weeks after playing each other already, and like you haven't seen some teams play similar competition in over a month. Like like since that OBK versus Karlstad game, both of those teams have had like completely different schedules, and it's hard to like even remember that OBK is even in the league when you have weekends where they don't even play. Like them and AIK didn't play this weekend. It's crazy because they're both out of my mind except for the AIK because they sent me a shirt. But my negative, uh, actually, it was a decent weekend of football. I think the game's really good, but my negative would be that Tiraso won despite Cape Town Predators playing probably their best football game of the season. And I know they scored a lot and beat the crap out of Stockholm back a couple weeks ago, but this was probably the best game I've seen the Predators play. And they played three really, really good quarters of football. And then just in the fourth quarter, they just that Tiraso won because they got more talent. Like it, Kevin Borsay, what he scored? 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Like
I
what
would
you
say the
gonna
third
do?
quarter went downhill for them. The third quarter went down. It was like the pick six, for the Predators because they
Yeah, yeah,
had yeah.
yeah. About half. Like what I got, I wrote down in my notes. I put down here in the fourth quarter with 8.5 minutes left. That's when Borzay scored, and then right after they threw a pick, and then the Tarasso scored again, and that's when it was like just over at that point. Like it was done. They couldn't hold up with him anymore, and that's my negative. My negative is that I wish they would have won the game because I think Tarasso needs to learn a lesson that you can't just rely on that talent. That's just me being real cheeky about it because I mean I've said it all season they're the most talented team. And what happens when you play a talented team? Eventually that talent is going to show up. And for 3 quarters, it was right there. But in that fourth quarter, what you gonna do? Like there's just not much you could do against a team that's like that stacked heavy. But let's go to the positives. What are some of the positives you have from the weekend?
And my positive, still in that same game. At first, it was kind of hard to imagine Kronstadt as a playoff team, but I think they actually might be a playoff team. I think they might be a playoff team. They kind of give me the glimpse of um, Oslo Vikings from last year, where it's like we know they got something. Are they going to bring it? And I think they might be a playoff team. You know, despite the fact that we think that they're in the worst conference, they might be a playoff team. And two, Anton Bjork, he finally brings some real swag to the game. He had the
Oh
half
yeah.
sleeve, and he had the one arm sleeve on one side. I was like, okay, he not coming with those. I don't know what colorful cleats or gloves he had on in one game. I don't know if he had lime green or
Mhm.
something, but that ain't it. Stay with that white half sleeve, you know.
Yeah. For me, my positive from the weekend would be K Town Predators jerseys coming in with them orange joints. I likes that.
I did.
Finally, those the only jerseys they should wear. Them things was A1. I like that orange. I'm still not a huge fan of the gray that they have in the colors, but I think that's similar to like how Stockholm has a weird gray color on theirs too. You just stick with the colors. I understand. But them having like the orange jersey instead of the gray jersey, and it's even better than the blue jersey too. I don't like the number on the blue jersey. The orange jerseys was nice. I think that's one reason they played so well for so long in this game. I think they were feeling themselves, they were looking down, everything was looking real good, and they was like, you know what, we got this, we can do this. And I think it helped them level up a little bit in this game. So that's definitely a positive. And I do want to throw one more thing out here to the Predators, the running back, Kevin Soderlindo Rosario. Look, man, I remember you from the iconic orange gloves of last season. This season, he's wearing blue gloves. Somebody get this man a pair of orange gloves because I love watching number 23 and seeing like the orange on the hands. I just like it. I want to see it more of it. So somebody get that man some orange gloves so he can, finish the season strong. But other than that, I think we're good on first quarter. Let's move on. All right, second quarter top performers presented by Ballers International. Let's name a couple guys who stood out to us from last week's games. Deuce, who's your top performers from this weekend?
I gotta go with Slade Jarman on this one. This guy, I mean, because the first thing you do, you see his stats. He threw for over 300 yards. Could have got his backups in. But then when you look at the receiver stats, you try to look like, all right, which receivers balling? You know what I mean? Bro, they all, like, he spreads the ball, and Carlstad's staff is probably just so confident in him to just make all the signals that he does on the field and things of this, just to spread the ball out, make his checks. He is a field general. Is that the right terminology? If it's
Yeah, I
not,
think so.
call him that. He is definitely that. Barsay, Kevin Barsay did his thing, but I gotta shout out Caesar. I was like, I
Number
gotta make sure I
44.
see
Yeah.
it. Caesar number 44. That guy, you moved up from a little pup to a dog. You are a
Mm,
dog. You are a dog. Those are only two guys I'm gonna call out. It was a lot of other people who did extremely well this weekend, but I gotta recognize those two main players. Bersay with the three touchdowns. I love that post that he did at the end, post corner
mm.
at the end. Hey guys, it's over. No, on the slant he did that. After that, on the slant, it's over,
He's
baby.
doing the wave of the hands. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's over.
For me, I'm gonna go with the running back from Carlstad, Tim Schultz. Mostly from the beginning of the game, in that first quarter, I think it was like heavy rain. It looked like it was a lot of rain. And Carlstad was like, no, we're just gonna give it to 2-4 and let him do this thing. And then when the rain like let up, they're like, okay, Slade, go do your thing. And then he started passing the ball all around the joint. But in that first quarter, the offense ran through number 24. Like he was running the ball and also catching passes out the backfield, couple screens, couple swing routes, flat route, everything that you needed him to do to move the ball down the field so that they could keep the offense going. And then when that rain let up, they start airing it out a little bit more. And obviously, Stockholm defense is, Swiss cheese. So it didn't take much to put up the score after that. I don't even know what the final score of that game was. It was 35-13 when I stopped watching because I was like, they when in that game, Stockholm kept like they would get 21 and then they score on the rebuttal. It was 21-0, but then they scored. So it's 21-6. So I had to keep watching. Then it was like 28-6, and then they scored. So it was like 28-13. It's 35-13. I was like, don't let Stockholm score on the rebuttal. And they didn't, so then I turned it off. That's how I do it. If you get 21 and then you don't score on the rebuttal, it's just like playing like college or Madden for me. You got to get off the sticks. And that usually means off my TV screen. But Tim Schultz's guy stood out to me. Who else stood out to me in this game? I don't know the names. I got to find out some of these guys' names. Hold on. Number
Jacob, maybe
that ain't the
receiver.
name.
Oh,
No.
my bad.
Oh, which receiver? Which
Uh,
receiver? Oh, I'm
Broswell.
not going. Oh, I'm. That's all I got from Carlstad game.
Oh,
That I mean,
okay.
they were the better team, and obviously, it really was Slade Jarman passing to everybody. But no, I actually want to go to K Town Predators, number 8, Joel Blomdahl, the defensive back, cornerback. Dude
Yeah.
was on one. Like he was aggressive. He had a couple of hits that was, you could tell he wanted to hit people, and then he made a couple plays at the DB position in this game. And him and the K Town Predators defense, one hell of a performance. Honestly, like if I really want to say like what stood out to me today, this weekend, was the Predators defense. I saw them have 2 red zone stops in like the first half, and then they had
Yeah.
a third one. No, they had 3 red zone stops in the first half that caused 0 points for Tiraso. That's how they stayed in the game. And then late in the fourth quarter, I think Tiraso was basically like inside the 10, and they held him to a field goal. It was a situation where they had the ball on their side of the field, and instead of giving up 6, they only gave up 3. This Predators defense that I just saw, this defense could get them in the playoffs and could even get them into a championship situation. Now, offensively, they have some things they need to work on to be more consistent. And I think it was more of a talent situation that they just didn't have enough like options on offense. But defensively, they really showed out this weekend, and it was impressive. And I really just want to give my hats off and flowers to this whole K Town Predators defense because they was out there, they were flying to the ball, made a lot of plays. They held that Tiraso offense as long as they could. And again, by the time they got to the fourth quarter, I really think it was one of those situations where they gave up a touchdown to Borzay, and then their offense gave the ball back. And after that, their back broke. Like it was just too much at that point. But before that, they played a really good defense, a defense that could have won that game. And so my hats go off to them. Those are my top performers of the week.
All right.
All right, it is halftime. There's only like 2 weeks left in the regular season. So let's talk playoff picture and take a
Mhm.
look at where the teams are, who they have to play, and how we think teams can finish. So I'm gonna read off the teams and where they are, and then I'm gonna say like jump into some of the scenarios. Right now, there's a 3-way tie in first. We got 3 teams that are 5-1. We got the
Mhm.
Orebro Black Knights, Carlstadt Crusaders, Tiraso Royal Crowns. And then in fourth place, you have another 3-way tie, but I think they've played each other enough that you know the order. But you have K Town Predators at 3-3, AIK at 3-3, Stockholm Mean Machines at 3-3. And then in seventh, you have Limham Griffins at 3-4, Oslo Vikings at 1-5, Copenhagen Towers at 0-7. So first off, Limham is 3-4 and has 1 game left. Like Oslo and the Tiger and Towers, we're done with them. They're not making playoffs. Limham is 3-4. They have 1 game left against Karlstad. Even if they win, they'd be 4-4, and they haven't beat any of the teams above them. So they're out pretty much, right?
Well, they only beat one team that's above them. They beat the Predators in the first time.
Ah, they beat the Predators. Okay, so they would need the Predators to lose at least 2 games or win one and lose one. So I guess they're still in it. Never mind, they're still in it. I guess all these teams are still in it at the bottom. The top 3 teams, no matter who wins or lose, they're going to be in it for a little bit. right? Because unless they lose two games, but let's look at who everybody has to play. Orebro Black Knights, they're 5-1. They got to play AIK and the Crusaders. How do you think that might work out for them?
for Aaron Brew.
Yeah, they got
Yeah,
to
I mean,
play
I think
at AIK and then home versus Carlstad.
yeah, I think that it only affects them in seeding if they want to have home field advantage uh, for the playoffs because I think they can win or lose against Karlstad, which
Mhm.
still can keep them at the one seed if they win, of course, or two seed if they win or lose, depending on how they do against IE Core. IE Core is definitely is going to throw the kitchen sink for themselves in playoffs because they got two hard games, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the future. So I think it's a good chance that Eric Brew just really just thinking about where they want to uh, finish the season. Like they going to be home, for the first round of playoffs, or they want to be on the road. And I think we all want to be home if you get this more money for your organization and your fans are there and the atmosphere. But I
Yeah.
think if you're going to be asking them directly, I think it's going to work out fine for them.
Yeah, and then with Carlstad, it's a similar situation. They're 5-1, but they got two away games up. They got to play at Griffins and then at OBK. What do you think about their chances? I mean, they're they're in the same situation, right?
Yeah, they're pretty much in the same situation. I mean, traveling to Limham, it's shorter than traveling from like Stockholm, but it's still a bit of a way for them. It's a bit journey. They don't want to make that, so they definitely don't want to make the drive. Then Air Brews just cross town for them. So, um, I mean, I also think it's going to work out fine for Karlstad if Karlstad keeps playing like how they did against Stockholm recently, and other teams they played in the past, except for Air Brew, they'll be fine.
So I think like the 1 and 2 seeds is pretty much. Well, the thing is, I would say it's going to come down to that last game. I think they both can win the first game, like against. I think OBK can beat AIK, and Carlstad can beat Limham, and then when they play each other, you're playing for first or second seed. Which I think for those two teams, that doesn't really matter because you're still going to be home, and I think both of them are decent at home. But I think whereas the trick is Tirasol Royal Crowns have two more games, and they're both against Stockholm Mean Machine.
Yeah,
So
that's
Tirasol can mess around and come in first place because I think they beat them twice.
you saying that?
That's what I think. Do you
Yeah.
think the Stockholm team that we've seen the last 2 weeks, you think that team can beat Tirasol?
I mean, there's always a game where somebody's choking. Quick concept predators. We thought for sure they should dominate against Limham Griffins, and they
But
struggled second
that
game.
was also early in the season.
Yeah,
I mean, we're week 11 now. I mean, it's been pretty consistent. That's why we all went undefeated on our picks last week. I think it's safe to say, and I hate to say it, but Stockholm is done. Like this will be the first time they don't make playoffs in a long time. But I don't think
I
they're going
wouldn't.
to
I
make
wouldn't
it.
say. I wouldn't say it's safe to say. I wouldn't say it's safe to say yet. I
I'm
gotta give
saying
them.
it's safe to say. I'm saying me. Like I'm not saying like they're mathematically out. I'm saying I am out on saying that they can make it in. I'm saying me personally, just perfect purpose opinion is that Stockholm Mean Machines are done. Stick a fork in them, baby. That's what I'm saying. I'm not hedging my bets on that team. I think because even if even if Stockholm wins, if they win one of those games, they're still not in. They're both K Town Predators and AIK beat them head to head. So if they win both games and say K Town wins both of their games, K Town has to play Oslo Vikings, Copenhagen Towers. Let's say they win those two games. If they
Mhm.
win those two games and Stockholm wins their two games, K Town's in, Stockholm's out. Now AIK has to play Orebro and Oslo. If they win those two games and Stockholm wins two games, Stockholm is out. So literally, the Oslo Vikings have to beat either the K Town Predators or AIK for Stockholm to get into the playoffs. And that's with Stockholm beating Tiraso twice, not once,
Mhm.
twice. That's how they
It's
can
like,
get in the playoffs.
it's a lot of factors.
I mean, if anybody can do it, Stockholm could do it. But I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. I'm jumping off that ship, and I'm saying they're not gonna make it. I'm saying it's either gonna be K Town or AIK, and I really feel like K Town has the best route to the playoffs because they're playing the eighth and ninth place teams at the end of the season, and they're 3-3. So most likely, I think K Town Predators is going to slide into the playoffs easily. I think then if you go down to the fifth place AIK, they got to play Orebro and the Oslo Vikings. If they beat Orebro, that puts a lot of pressure on those last games of the week of the season. But I think that's a stretch. It's just it looks like looking at what it looks like, it just looks like K Town has the easiest route playing the playing the worst two teams, but they are playing against no, they're not playing against Limham, so they haven't lost any of the teams they're playing against. They're just playing the worst two teams, record
Yeah.
wise, I guess. So I mean, and AIK has to beat the number one team in Orebro to even think about making the playoffs. So we'll know after that AIK Orebro game where everybody really stands. Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, that's the playoff picture. I just want to talk about it a little bit. I think it's going to be a good one. I think next couple of weeks are going to be very exciting. A lot of these teams are playing well, so we'll get into the rest of it now. All right, let's get into the third quarter. Keys to victory. The Super Serien teams are back in action this weekend with the Oslo Vikings versus K Town Predators. Then we have AIK versus Orebro Black Knights. We also have Stockholm Mean Machines versus Tiraso Royal Crowns. And the last game, well, the last one on the list, Limham Griffins versus Karlstad Crusaders. So everybody's playing this week.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing. So we're gonna get to see everybody in action. It's gonna be exciting. First game, let's hop into it. What are the keys to victory for the Oslo Vikings to get the win this weekend? You think?
Definitely gonna have to play extremely well on defense because you can see that the Predators can be explosive. They definitely gonna have to circle up number 12. Is it Jacob Stenberg that was number 12? I don't know.
No.
Where is
Number 12 is Lou Debo. That's the Belgian
oh, wait. I
Lou
said wait.
Debo.
Yeah, they're gonna have to circle up him on their game plan. I forgot that's Ludebo. No, Jacob was. I think he's number two,
Yeah, he's
but
number 2.
yeah, we didn't see too much of him. But anyways, definitely got to circle him up because uh, if he's getting hot, if he's gonna be hot, he's gonna be hot. Definitely gonna have to keep a spy on the QB, and I think that Will Seaback is. I said Seaback Sewell is out for the
Yeah,
season, so. Um, I wish they could have him back. I would feel a little bit more confident for them. But I mean, those are keys that they need to do for defense offensively. I do think there's some holes for them to be successful. They have to find those mismatches and capitalize on it.
yeah. For me, I'm standing on business this week. Also, Vikings, y'all gonna need a prayer. Y'all gonna need miracle. That's what it's gonna take. Cause everything on paper, everything on film say it ain't possible. So I'm moving on. On to the K Town Predators. What do you think they have as keys to victory this weekend? What can they do to beat the Vikings?
I mean, they have to travel up there. So keys to victory is one to get a good night's sleep because that game is quite early for them because they're traveling from the south of Sweden into you know I don't even know the direction, but they gotta stay on the west coast of Sweden just to enter Oslo into Norway. So definitely need to get a good night's sleep or fly, get a hotel the day before, chill there, and just don't be super confident because right now they feel like they got the edge against Oslo because Oslo isn't doing as good as we know Oslo should do this season. Um, so if they go in there big headed, they might, you know, get whacked. You know, what I mean, or get disappointed. So
It's
uh,
possible.
yeah. So I mean, that's just my tips for them right there. I mean, like on the field, you know, their quarterback Richardson is using his legs extremely well. Continue to do that. Spread the ball. You guys got playmakers on offense. Defensively, you're gonna have to do the same thing against Dre, and you know they got two solid, good other receivers on their offense that they need to make sure they can corral and slow down.
You know, I think for Predators, it's very simple. If you want to win this game, just I think limit turnovers, win the turnover battle, keep it
Yeah,
simple. If you have the ball more than they have the ball, you should be fine. And just keep it at that. Don't do anything crazy on offense to give them additional opportunities to score. And
yeah,
then when you're on defense, be your aggressive self and create takeaways. And again, both of these options are turnover battles. Win the turnover battle, and I think you'll be fine. All right. The next game we got is AIK versus Orbital Black Knights. Let's start with AIK. What do you think they can do to have success in this game?
man. Defensively, they gotta slow down this explosive offense. I mean, Erbrew has not been, even though they've been winning games and early on, like we see, like they could be so dangerous. But ICO is definitely going to have their DBs, you know, and I think ICO, you know, top DB group, you know, I think they top three. I think Tirso, Brew, and you know, ICO got a pretty solid secondary. You know, I ain't gonna say it on camera who the weak link is on their defense. Who's on for ICO because he's a bit of a friend of mine or old friend, but don't want to embarrass him. Uh, but if you know who you are, you know who you are. But anyways, definitely going to have to figure out a game plan to slow down Jacob Brazina. That's how you say his
Yeah,
name.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely going to have to figure out a game plan to do that, and also got to eliminate this explosive passing offense. Offensively, I think that's where they can get their money. I think if they can try to win the third down so they can keep the ball in their hands as long as possible. Don't try to score too fast. You know, just slow down, tire out their defense. I think that's one tip that they can do to win this game with their
Yeah,
offense.
I kind of agree with you about. I think I think what you said on defense was stop the run and stop the pass. So just stop their entire offense. So I think that's tough.
Right.
But I mean, but you're accurate to say that. Like they Orbrew probably has the most like balanced offense where you really feel like you have to stop both. And I would go a step further and I would say decide how you want them to be successful. Pick one. I don't know what you want to pick. Obviously, the team knows their personnel and situation better than I do. They're, watching film. I'm just watching the games. If if I'm AIK, I think for them to win this game, they got to go all in on okay, if Orebrew's gonna beat us, they're gonna beat us this way and force Orebrew to play a certain way. And then you know where your breaks are gonna be. If you force them to say you're gonna make them pass the ball, okay, so you're going to take away their run. That means we're selling out on stopping number 34, Jacob, and after that, we're going to let it fly. We're gonna let them throw those one-on-one balls, and we believe we can win enough that they can't outscore our offense. And if that's not the route you want to go, then you say, okay, we're just going to play not prevent, but a shell type defense and keep everything underneath us and make you either nickel and dime us or make you hand it off. And we're okay with that. Personally, that's the route I would go because it means it might take them a little bit longer to score. And like you
Yeah.
said, you really just don't want them to have the ball quickly and score a lot of points. You want the game to kind of go slowly at a pace where you're always one score in or out of it for AIK. And I think offensively, I think they're fine offensively. Do what you got to do to score. I wouldn't focus on one side or any aspect. Look for your matchups. y'all have a strategy, work that strategy, and try to put up as many points as possible. Because I think this is one of those games where if you don't score a lot, you might get routed because OBK is set up to
Yeah.
score 35 points. So
Yes.
you might want to run the ball, but at the same time, do what gets you points at all times. Like if a play action pass is the play to go with that. Trust that your scheme is going to work and that your player is going to make plays. I think Lambert at quarterback is going to be a lot's on him. I think he's the key to them being successful. Is if he can delegate the ball and take care of it and not give it over to the other team, they'll be fine. But again, I think the biggest thing for them is picking a way to stop the OBK offense, either stopping their run or stopping their pass and sticking with it. Don't change it up. Let them know what you're doing so that you can control how they play you on offense. I think that gives them the best chance to win. I mean, I'm with you. You know, I'm with you. So I'm trying to give you all the gems I can. What about Orebrew? What do you think Orebrew's keys to victories are in this one?
Play herbal football.
I
That out. That's out. Play herbal football.
I agreed. Like, just do you, boo? Do you? What is it? No notes. No notes for Orebrew. Do you? Man, we're just now to the third game. I forgot to write down the fourth game. Uh, Stockholm Mean Machines versus Tirso. Um, let's give some keys to victory for Stockholm. What do you think they can do in this one?
Man, they got to fight hard. I mean, this is a go hard or go home situation. I think first the coaches need to make sure because I got faith in you guys. You know, I believe that this is one of those rival games as we watch college football. Yeah, Tiraso is on top. They can be. Let's say Texas is having a perfect season right now, but they know they still got to play against Alabama, and they struggle. Well, I guess let's say LSU because LSU is more realistic, even though I think Texas just moved to the SEC. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. But
Yeah,
anyways, say LSU. LSU is hot. They still know they got to go to Alabama and play that game. This is one of those matches where you can say, "Look, man, we always beat you guys." No matter when y'all been hot, you know, and make a game plan to finish because right now it's really go hard to go home early for you guys. So, and lastly, I'm gonna say this too, man. Brandon, you my dog now. You got 2 games underneath your belt now. You've been there for some time, close to a month. Get the chemistry with your guys. Take over on offense, you know, because it's really going to come down to the offensive play. Because I think the Stockholm's defense, you know, the secondary is, you
trash.
know,
Just say what it is, man. Keep it 100.
what
Not
you
good
call
this
Slay?
year.
What you call Slay last year?
I forget because y'all stuck on that. I already moved on. What did I call him? Did I call him garbage? Oh yeah, garbage.
Hey, that's what Stockholm secondary is. I ain't even gonna lie
It's
to you.
garbage.
But hey, Gwynner,
Garbage.
you're gonna have to just run it up. You know, I mean, you're gonna have to avoid getting off the field. You may have to go for the ball on 4th down because, man, Tiraso defense look damn near very good. Look very good. So it's gonna come down to offensive play and make sure you guys can stay on the field and finish drives. Get 3 points if y'all can get 3 points because sometimes Tiraso does not put so many points on the field. They can get down to the red zone and not score. So make sure you guys get points when you can get points.
Um, I know. I said stick a fork in them. They're done. I still believe that wholeheartedly. But like you said, they could pull this off, and I think it's similar to what you said earlier. Is that Stockholm is accustomed to beating Tirso. So it doesn't matter if Tirso is the better team. Like there's been last couple of years, I think Tirso has technically been the better team, and Stockholm still gets to win. I think it's still one of those situations of little brother, big brother. Stockholm is a large area, but the Mean Machines are the downtown team. Tirso, you're in Tirso. I think that if they go into this game saying we're going to do whatever it takes to win, they'll come out with it differently than any other team playing against Tiraso. Most teams, when you're playing against Tiraso, I tell you, get up, score as many points as you can, and don't let them come back. in this game for the meme machines, keep it close. I think this is one of those games where if I had to put my money on it, who's more clutch, Tiraso or Stockholm? I think Stockholm's more clutch. I think they got that clutch gene that if it came down to it at the end of the game, I think somebody like Matthew Retzloff, Brandon Gwinner, if Casper Wedberg is there, I know he didn't play this last week, but if he's there, even Robin Miranda, my guy, you can depend on them to make a play when you need one. I don't think you have that on Tiraso's side defensively. Offensively, maybe, but defensively, they're real streaky, which means it's a good matchup because if Stockholm is within a touchdown, close enough that all they have to do is score, they actually have an advantage. If they're
Mhm.
losing and they have to stop the Tiraso team, they're still having an advantage because Tiraso's offense is known to stutter out. So again, I think keeping the game close, no matter what. Don't get too far ahead. Don't get too far behind. Just keep the game within striking distance at all times. Also, like if it's possible, I don't know if it is, bringing in more players on defense. Not like 12 players, but like putting in some packages where you bring in some offensive guys to come in and just improve your athleticism or something. Maybe bringing in some O linemen to like plug up the middle if you know they're going to run it, like some package situations for your defense to help it. Because toe to toe, man, man, you're not going to win. But you situationally put the team players in certain spots, you can manufacture some stops on defense, and then offensively, I think they'll be fine. They're going to be able to score points. I think they should be able to score points with the talent they have. But defensively, they got to figure something out. That's my biggest key to victory would be keep it close and figure something out on defense to make additional stops. I guess that's it. Yeah. So moving to the other team, what would Tiraso keys of victory be in this one?
Yeah, if Tyrell can just slow down Stockholm's offense, they should win this game. So
Mhm.
stop Stockholm's offense. Stop going there. Um, stop Make sure you got double team Matthew Reflov if necessary. But I think Sebastian, with a little help over top will be fine. Or rolling cover three over to his side. Um, and and make sure that the other side, Anton Bluegren and Robin and it's not. I mean, Stockholm got a lot of weapons, so just make sure you don't fall asleep on their passing game, because they got.
That's why I'm saying their offense could put up some points if you really need them to. But I agree with you though. Like I think it's definitely on that side of the ball. Like for Tiraso, it's mostly about just limit.
Oh, you muted, bro.
Shit, I didn't know I was muted. I really stopped also. But I was gonna say I agree with you. Like I really think it's Tiraso's defense stopping Stockholm's offense. That's what all they have to do. Offensively, I think they're gonna have a big play at some point. They're gonna score double V, Borze, quarterback Haywood. They always make a play at some point. So I'm not too much concerned with that. But on the defensive side, I think creating turnovers, taking the ball away, that's going to be the key to victory for them. Putting Stockholm in a situation where they don't have the ball puts more pressure on their offense. And when you put more pressure on their offense, it's more likely to, pressure bust pipes type of situation. I think when you look at their offense, Brandon Gwinner, great quarterback, but he'll give the ball to you. He'll make a bad throw. He'll test you when, he believes that he can make a throw and you can make a play. I think Tiraso has a great defensive backfield. Number 47, I never can remember his name. Is Johansson? Is that his name?
You said 47. Oh yeah, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, Sebastian, he did a hell of a job this last weekend against Lou DeBow, playing cornerback. If they can make sure that he's on Matthew Retzloff, they should
Mhm.
be okay. And then you have what's the other guy's name? Number 16, DV. Um,
I think he
I
might be
can't remember.
14. I think.
14.
I think
They got
so. I
another.
mean, 14,
They got another.
16. They got.
They,
I know.
they got another really good DB that I think that if between those two they create a couple turnovers, it gets ugly fast for Stockholm. And Stockholm still have the firepower to score, but you just want it to a situation where Stockholm is one dimensional and just trying to score. So I think their defense is capable of it. They just have to make sure they do it early. I don't think they want to be in a last minute game. Like I said, I still
Yeah,
think Stockholm has more clutch genes as an organization and a team. But if Tiraso gets up by 2 touchdowns at any point, I feel like that's enough. Like that's all you got to do. And to do that, you got to create some turnovers and take the ball away from them. And that's what they need to do on the defensive side.
yeah, yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
there's two things I was thinking about saying because after you speaking is that they do need to create turnovers because that'll help them out offensively. But the main thing is, as you was trying to give tips towards how to try to stop Brew, like force Stockholm to try to run the ball. Don't let the
Mm-hmm.
pass, force them to run the ball.
Definitely. That makes sense. Last matchup, Limham Griffins versus Carlstadt Crusaders. Keys to victory for the Griffins. What do you got?
Man, you just better hope that Karlstad came sluggish to the game because man, let me try to be nice. I mean, you guys do have some playmakers, but honestly, I don't know what I can say, man. Uh, man, I'm
uh,
speechless to be honest. Let me,
Speechless.
to be honest, I got nothing to say, man. Just hope that you guys have Karlstad coming there with half of their guys or Slade Jarman, you know, is sick. Hope that
It's
he's sick
tough. I
for
I
just
have
being
more
there.
I have more faith in y'all Griffins. We've seen what happens to the Crusaders if you knock them off their game. When they play against Orebrew, I still call it a fluke game, but you got to respect it. Orebrew came in there, smacked them in the mouth, created a couple turnovers. They had a couple unforced turnovers as well, and then next thing you know, Orebrew was up and out of there. I say come in there with the same thing. I say throw the kitchen sink at them, Limham. You got nothing to lose. You start the game kicking the ball off, you onside kick it. You have nothing to lose.
Trick
First
plays.
down, you want to go engage eight, go engage eight. See what they do. You want slant, you want to do some slant and twist, and you want to do some unconventional things on defense, do it. You know why? You have nothing to lose. You only have something to gain by creating chaos against this team. And I've said this before, the only time I've ever seen them like frazzled is when you put them in a situation they haven't been in. The only situation they haven't been in, I mean, there is no situation, is because Orebro beat them. And that was the only time they've been in that situation where they were losing by a lot and they lost. You got to put them back in that situation. And to replicate that, you got to do something more than what you've done so far this whole season. And again, playoffs are out of the picture. Like I don't think that's going to happen for Limham. But if there is some mathematical way, and they believe there is some mathematical way, I mean, technically, I mean they can finish 4-4. Some other teams could lose. Maybe it could work out for you. This is your shot. It's last game of the season for you, also. So this is it, all or nothing. Uh, I I say this lightheartedly, but if he dies, he dies, right? Like there ain't no next week. So leave it all out on the field, and that's your best chance at winning this game. I mean, go out there, maybe not kill yourself, but get as close as you can to death to try to win this game. That's what I'm going to tell you guys. Now flipping it to Carlstad, what do you think their keys to victory would be in this one?
Man, Karlstad just need to show up and play Karlstad football. Slade Jarman spread the ball and let the backup quarterback, get some reps in. If they get up early, keep your players healthy for the playoffs because it's something you got to think about. Um, and let Matthias Erickson take a little break, man. He out there breaking people way too much on the football field. Uh, Man, Karlstad just got to be Karlstad. Let's be real.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. Do you, boo? Do you? You'll be all right. All right, welcome to fourth quarter weekend picks. Picking winners is not easy, but we're gonna put our picks out here anyways. You can see our picks online at Pro Football Sweden, where you can make your comments. No need to flood us with any messages in the DMs. Just message Pro Football Sweden, and we'll answer you from there. First game, who do you got and why? Oslo Vikings versus the K Town Predators. Juice, go.
Man, this is probably one of the hardest ones, you know, because I would love to go with Oslo with the upset. I think this is an upset weekend. Um, but my gut is telling me that Krukonstad, just got. I really think when it comes down to the play of trying to stop Krukonstad's offense, I think that the drive is going to continue to move because of Richardson, and that's the
Yeah,
only reason why. That's the only reason why I feel like this upset is going to be hard to say. But I really want to go with Oslo, but I'm gonna have to go with Krukonstad in this matchup. But if I'm wrong, Oslo, that's on me. I do think this is an upset week for you guys, so prove me wrong.
I'm not hedging no bets. I'm now. It took what 10, almost 11 weeks of the season for me to become a believer in the Predators. I honestly the whole season I was like, man, these dudes just skating by, skating by. But watching them play against Terraso, they have what it takes, and I think that they're easily the better team. I agree with you about Miles Richardson, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I, it might be controversial, but I think Miles Richardson is the best playmaker in the Super Serien this season. And when I say that, I didn't want to say best quarterback because he does much more than what you need from a quarterback. And I think his playmaking ability is what elevated this team to playoff potential. And I think that needs to be noticed. I'm just going to throw that in there right now. So I'm definitely going with the Predators in this one. Second game, we got Orebrew. Oh, AIK versus Orebrew Black Knights. Who do you got and why?
Um, I'm going with Urban Black Knights. I mean, they're hot right now, and I just think when it comes down to matchups, I think that Urban has they're gonna win the matchup battle. And this one where it's another game where we can be slightly wrong, but I have to go Urban.
I'm going to go with AIK. I'm going to go with AIK. And honestly, I believe either team can win, but I'm gonna double down on the fact that I don't have any Orebrew gear. So I'm just gonna keep going with AIK. It's called brand loyalty. I got an AIK shirt. So I believe they're gonna win. If Orebrew wants me to pick them, send me some gear. Y'all know how I feel about it. I'll take t-shirts or hats, whatever you got, just send it my way. Next game, we have Stockholm Mean Machine versus Tiraso Royal Crowns. Who do you got and why?
This is another game. This game is giving me the same thing that I just said about Oslo Predators. I really want to go with Stockholm. I think this is like the week where Stockholm says, um, you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and go with the gut on this one. I'm gonna go with
Okay,
Stockholm.
all right.
I'm gonna go with Stockholm on this one. Cheers, like y'all my favorite team to watch. Love seeing you guys highlights and everything like this. Glad Kevin Barcia is back. I'm gonna go with Stockholm on this one. It is weird to say that this is gonna be upset, but I'm gonna go with Stockholm on this one.
Give me a second. Hold on. Ugh.
Yep, and we live. Uh, oh, oh, that's what you needed a
Let's
second
go,
for.
baby.
Hold on. Check out the
I'm
pants.
gonna go Royal Crowns with this one
Check
because
out
I
the
got.
pants.
Oh, there we go. Look, I'm going Royal Crowns because got that nice. Where's the? Hold on, where's the number?
Hey, look.
Ain't there
Hold
one
on.
three five on
Here.
here somewhere?
You-
Oh, here we
Hey,
go.
I was thinking about doing this with it
One
today.
three five, baby. Hold up.
I was thinking about going with the Royal Crown right here.
Well, 135, baby. Let's go, TRSO. I feel like they the better team. And I'm long time Stockholm Meme Machine fan, but this just ain't the year. It happens. Sometimes it's not your year. This ain't their year.
I mean, I
Okay.
think they can split one. I think I don't think there's going to be. I think one team will win one week, then the other team will win the next week. I don't think it's going to be.
Well, I think if anything, Tirso wins this week, and it solidifies that they're a top two seed. And then that last game, they can afford to take a loss. So definitely going with Tirso in this one. And then the last matchup of the weekend, we have Limham Griffins and Karlstad Crusaders. Who you got and why?
Uh, I'm going with Carlsbad Crusaders because they just the better team.
Uh hold up. Yeah, I'm also gonna go with Karlstad because I'm wearing red. Let's keep it at that. They're the better team for sure. All right, that's it for this episode of Pro Football Sweden. Anything we missed you want to talk about for overtime? Anything you want to throw out there?
And not at all. At the Maple League, we just started up. Tune into our games. You'll see some highlights on Ballers International if you can't find it on any.
Y'all
What
won.
else?
Didn't y'all win this week?
Yeah, we
Didn't
did
y'all
win.
win over the weekend?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. And I think you voted us to lose. Maybe.
Yes, I did. I said I have zero faith in the Royals. I still feel that way, but congratulations.
Appreciate
Y'all
it.
won a good game. Y'all played well. Yeah, y'all deserve to get a win. It's good for you guys.
Appreciate it.
I'm also been watching, the Maple League this weekend. So if anybody's keeping up, I got a podcast, AFF in Finland, Pro Football Sweden here in Sweden. 7 football games this weekend. I saw all 7 of them. Good football about in the Nordics. Good football. Both leagues have had a lot of good football. Obviously, Finland's like video is a little bit better, the quality and stuff, but the level of play and quality of football is close. It's similar. I would still say there's a slight difference with talent level and stuff, but it's good to see that both leagues are still thriving. I feel like this season has gone well for Sweden. A lot of teams are playing well. A lot of these games, you got the Predators who are on the cusp of making the playoffs this year. Seeing them develop throughout the season has been really good. And even with adding Copenhagen Towers, they've been playing better. And that's something we didn't talk about earlier, and we probably should have, is that when they played Limham, I saw the score that it was like 50-22 or something. So I was like, "Oh man, how did that happen?" I watched I watched it 10 minutes into the fourth quarter before it got out of hand. It was 22-22 at half, and I really felt like Copenhagen could have won that game. At any time they could have won that game, but it just seemed like what was it in the third quarter? They were down by a touchdown and decided to go for it on fourth down on their side of the field. They're down by one score. All they had to do was punt and make the other team drive the field. They didn't. They took a chance. Limham scored. Next thing you know, it's 36-22. What you gonna do? They took their shot, and I appreciate that about the Copenhagen team is that we've seen them get better all season, and similar to what we saw from Oslo last year in the Super Serien, we expect them to, rebound and come back stronger even next year in the Super Series. So it's been a really good season. I know this isn't the last week or anything, but just want to throw that out there because we're about to get into this playoff mode, and we might not say these nice things about these teams that aren't in the playoffs later on. So with that, we'll get up out of here. Good luck to all the teams this weekend since everybody's playing. And we'll be back next week with more insights and opinions. Please like, follow, and subscribe on all social channels at Pro Football Sweden. See you next week.
See you. Peace
Peace.
out, bro.